Okay, so today we're going deep on Bob Camblin.
Uh, hmm.
This guy, he's kind of a mystery, right?
Yeah, bit of an enigma.
But, fascinating.
Definitely,
And you've
yeah.
given us a ton of material.
Well, yeah, we've got a lot to work with.
Writings, quotes, stories about his life.
A real mixed bag.
Our mission, should we choose to accept it,
Uh-huh. Love it.
is to cut through the noise and figure out what this guy was all about.
Exactly. Like, what are the big ideas?
The themes that run through everything.
That unique Camblin perspective.
So think of this as like a cheat sheet.
A shortcut to understanding Camblin.
Now, for anyone out there who might not know, who was Bob Camblin?
So, mid-20th century artist.
A lot of different kinds of work.
Oh, yeah, super diverse.
Local connection.
Huh.
Right.
He was here in Houston,
Taught at Rice University.
but also Fulbright to Italy.
International experience definitely shaped his art.
And later on, he became kind of a nomad, just wandering.
Yeah, that definitely comes through in the material.
So we've got these direct quotes, like little nuggets of wisdom, almost like aphorisms, yeah.
We've got biographical details, snapshots of his life.
Descriptions of specific pieces.
Yeah, and then these big picture reflections on art, philosophy, life, the whole shebang.
It's a lot to unpack.
But don't worry, we're not going to get all academic on you.
No art theory lectures here.
We want to figure out how he created, how his style changed.
And what kind of philosophy was driving it all?
So we're after those aha moments.
Those flashes of insight.
That make you see things in a new way.
Exactly.
One thing that jumps out, looking at all this stuff,
Yeah.
is how Camblin was always playing with these opposite ideas.
Like what?
Science and magic,
Hmm.
common sense and miracles,
Interesting.
the need for balance versus this drive for freedom.
Like he was constantly wrestling with these dualities.
Yeah, and he talked about wanting this bright gray where they all meet.
Not one or the other, but that in-between space.
Right, so let's dig into that a little.
Let's look at.
What can we figure out about how Camblin saw the world, how we
Yeah.
understand things?
Well, there's this great quote. He says, look into the atom.
Hmm.
You get what you need.
Okay.
Look into magic and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both.
Whoa.
Right.
So he's putting science and magic on the same level.
Yeah, like they're both valid ways of knowing.
It wasn't just an idea for him, he really believed it.
Oh yeah, for Camblin, real understanding.
You need logic, but you also need intuition.
The head and the heart.
Exactly. And then there's this other quote, it's really striking.
Which one?
He says the sixth sense is without a doubt.
That's pretty definitive.
Like he was totally convinced.
Yeah, deep trust and intuition.
Like a way of knowing that goes beyond our five senses.
Beyond logic, beyond the physical world.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit.
Okay.
I noticed a bunch of quotes about time,
Oh yeah.
how things change, how nothing lasts forever.
Like that Salt Air Summer 1967 quote.
Yeah, that one gets me every time.
It's powerful.
He's talking about how everything just aged in an instant.
You can always feel that sense of loss.
The music stops, the decay sets in, it's beautiful, but also kind of sad.
Definitely melancholic.
But then there's this other quote, it's almost the opposite.
What does he say?
Fortunately, some things remain forever, or another 10 years, perhaps.
A bit tongue-in-cheek.
Right, like he's poking fun at the idea of permanence.
But also you can sense that human desire for things to last.
Yeah, we want things to stay the same, even though we know they can't.
It's that tension between change and constancy.
It's a very human thing to struggle with.
Absolutely.
Now, what about Camblin and nature?
Oh yeah, there's some good stuff there.
Like that quote about finding something in nature that completes you?
And then surrendering to it.
Yeah, it's a really powerful idea.
Like you find your place in the natural world.
And then you let go of your ego, you become part of something bigger.
It's very spiritual, almost mystical.
Very humble, too, right? You're not trying to control nature, you're surrendering to it.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that we're part of something much larger than ourselves.
And then there's that quote where he's talking directly to Mother Nature.
Well, that's enough about me, Mother Nature. Let's talk about you. What did you think of my last picture?
Haha, I love that one. It's so playful.
It's like he's having a conversation with nature.
And maybe even collaborating with it, in a way.
Yeah, like his art is a response to the natural world.
Okay, so we've talked about perception, time, nature.
What about Camblin's thoughts on art itself?
Yeah, what did he think art was all about?
He says art is not just images.
Okay.
Art for art's sake has become art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake.
Wow, so art is more than just pretty pictures.
Yeah, it's connected to life, to survival,
It has a purpose.
and it's personal.
There's that quote, step off the train of thought.
What do you think he meant by that?
I think he's talking about getting out of your head.
Breaking free from linear thinking.
Yeah, quieting the mind, tapping into something deeper.
Intuition. Maybe even the subconscious.
He also talks about the power that is no power.
The work that is not work.
It's very zen,
Yeah.
right?
Letting go of control, embracing the flow.
And he was interested in how people experience art.
He talks about participatory art,
Yeah, and how aesthetics are changing.
from shock and recognition to contemplation.
Like he was aware of how art was evolving.
Yeah, and maybe even a little worried about it.
Like, are we losing that sense of depth?
That willingness to really sit with a piece of art and let it unfold.
Okay, let's focus on one specific piece.
Fine skull and chest.
Yeah, it's a really intriguing image.
We've got a pretty good description from the sources.
Can you paint us a picture?
Right, so there's this tall, thin glass bottle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's drawn in a way that makes it look transparent.
You can see through it.
Yeah, and inside there's this emblem.
What kind of emblem?
It's like a spade shape, maybe navy blue or black,
Okay.
with some orange or red accents.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a pale red X where the label would be.
Interesting.
The bottle's sitting on a surface. There's some red and yellow cross hatching there.
Okay.
And the word Baton Rouge is written on it.
Baton Rouge.
Yeah. And behind the bottle, there's this backdrop.
Like a stage set.
Yeah, kind of. It's divided in two.
Okay.
On the left side, there's this blue wash, could be sky or water.
Okay.
And there's a little crescent moon in the sky.
A moon.
And then on the right side, it's just text written in red.
What does it say?
Fine skull and in chest.
Fine skull and chest.
Yeah, and some of the words are underlined or crossed out.
It's a lot to take in.
Definitely, so many different elements.
What do you make of it all?
Well, right away, there's this sense of mystery.
Yeah, you want to know what's inside the bottle.
The message is cryptic, the backdrops are contrasting, it draws you in.
And the skull, even though it's just in the text.
Right, but it instantly makes you think about death.
Mortality, the fragility of life.
The YouTube transcript calls it a vanitas motif.
Like a reminder that we're all going to die.
Yeah, but it's not heavy-handed, it's almost playful.
And the chest, that implies hidden things, too.
Secrets, maybe something personal, internal,
Could be a metaphor for the body itself.
or for the unconscious mind.
Yeah, like we all have this chest inside us.
And it's full of things we haven't explored yet.
The YouTube transcript also mentions self-discovery.
Confronting what's hidden within us.
And there are connections to those Eastern philosophies.
Zen, the I Ching, Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, it's amazing how this one image can connect to all these different traditions.
Like in Zen, the search for the skull.
It could represent the search for self-knowledge.
Right, the bottle becomes the body.
It's fragile, but you can see through it.
Like our physical form is temporary,
Yeah.
but it holds the truth of our mortality.
The goal isn't to be afraid of death,
It's to accept it as part of life.
which then leads to greater clarity,
Yeah, and ultimately to that sense of oneness with the universe.
dissolving the boundaries between self and other.
Exactly.
Now, what about the I Ching?
The hexagram coup coming to meet.
That sounds intense.
It suggests a cautious approach to the unknown.
Like you have to be careful when dealing with hidden things.
Yeah, respect the mystery, don't force it.
The bottle is a container of secrets.
You have to approach it with thoughtfulness and care.
And Lao Tzu.
He talks about how truth often lies hidden,
And reveals itself to those who are patient.
like the moon in the background of the piece.
It slowly rises, illuminating what was hidden.
Understanding comes through observation, not force.
It's about being receptive, allowing things to unfold.
Yeah, which is a very different way of thinking than we're used to in the West.
The existential interpretation is interesting too.
Yeah, the skull becomes a symbol of our own mortality.
It forces us to confront our own finiteness, makes us ask, what's the meaning of life?
Why are we here?
What do we want to accomplish in the time we have?
The artwork is a challenge.
Open your chest.
Face your fears and your joys,
Engage with your true self.
even if it's uncomfortable.
I like what the YouTube transcript says about the raw and imperfect elements.
Yeah, the layered textures, the handwritten notes,
It makes the artwork feel more human, more personal.
like it's still in progress.
Yeah, like Camblin is inviting us to participate in the creative process.
To help him figure out the meaning.
It's a self-portrait of his own internal exploration.
But it's also an invitation for us to explore ourselves.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
Talk about Camblin's artistic journey.
How his style evolved over time.
We've got some good biographical info to work with.
So, early education at the Kansas City Art Institute,
Mm-hmm.
then the Fulbright to Italy, exposure to the masters.
He was really fascinated by the Capuchin catacombs.
Yeah. That definitely influenced his use of skulls.
The whole mortality theme.
Definitely.
Then he taught for a while, shared his knowledge.
But eventually he embraced the nomadic lifestyle.
Big change.
How do you think that affected his art?
Well, we can see a clear progression in his work.
Early on, he was interested in social protest.
Yeah, he was combining social realism with abstract elements.
Interesting mix.
He was also influenced by Cremonti's drawing style.
And those Etruscan figurines, the simplified human forms. And then there was Musha Volantes, his collaboration with Nancy Giordano.
That sounds cool. What was that all about?
They were creating optical illusions with dots and dashes.
Like visual puzzles.
Exactly, challenging how people see things.
Making the viewer work to decipher the image.
And blurring the lines between perception and creation.
And then he starts signing some of his work anonymous.
Or anonymous artists.
Like he was downplaying the individual ego.
Yeah, focusing on the art itself, not the artist's name.
It fits with that collaborative spirit we see with B&E productions.
Yeah, the idea that art can be a collective effort.
We also start to see these recurring motifs in his work.
Scarecrows, metamorphosis, puppets.
Those glass reliquaries with murky water.
The scarecrows are interesting, inspired by Gunter Grass.
Yeah, that sense of change, transformation.
And the murky water, it's like a symbol of hidden depths.
Things we can't quite see clearly.
The biography talks about his works being like puzzles.
Data problems with codes and traps.
He wanted people to actively engage with his art.
Not just passively observe it.
Yeah, to figure it out, to decode the message.
Like he was questioning the nature of reality itself.
Which has connections to surrealism.
And he wanted to remake Goya in 20th century terms.
Wow, that's ambitious.
It shows how much he admired Goya.
And how he wanted to address those same timeless themes.
But in a modern way. He also liked to keep some things hidden, like a magician.
Maintain that sense of mystery.
Yeah, never reveal all the secrets.
In his later work, he started using these interwoven drawings in watercolors.
Creating these really complex, layered surfaces.
The biography says it was like a hidden image would emerge after you looked at it for a long time.
Wow, so you have to really spend time with the piece?
Yeah, it's about knowing the art, not just understanding it.
It's a deeper level of engagement. What about his use of language in his art?
Like the text in Fine Skull and Chest.
Yeah, he often included words that didn't necessarily relate directly to the image.
The words become shapes, clues, maybe even distractions.
Like he was playing with our expectations.
And he agreed with the idea that words can sometimes get in the way of experiencing art.
So the text isn't there to explain everything.
It's there to add another layer of complexity.
To make us think, to make us look closer.
Okay, last question. What kind of person was Camblin?
What was his impact on the people around him?
Well, based on what others have said,
He was definitely an enigma.
deeply respected by his peers.
But also a bit of a rebel, an iconoclast.
He challenged conventions,
He questioned everything. He was a creative force.
a free spirit.
His art was deeply personal, autobiographical.
Earl Staley's description of him is really great.
Yeah, he talks about Camblin being a great storyteller.
And they spent a lot of time together in the studio.
It makes him seem more human, more relatable.
Yeah, not just this distant, mysterious figure.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
What are the key takeaways?
Bob Camblin, he was all about paradox.
Perception, nature, the mysteries of existence.
His art, both visual and written.
It makes you think. It challenges you.
And often, there's a deeper meaning hidden beneath the surface.
His artistic journey was full of evolution, collaboration.
And a constant questioning of the rules.
He wasn't afraid to break the mold.
So for you, our listener,
If you wanted a quick but thorough understanding of Camblin,
multiple perspectives, those aha moments.
without getting bogged down in too much detail,
We hope this deep dive has delivered
it's a glimpse into a fascinating world.
a starting point for your own exploration.
And a final thought to leave you with.
Think about Camblin's idea of art as a puzzle.
What chests do you have in your own life?
What hidden meanings are you carrying around?
And what skulls might you find if you look closely enough?
Maybe the real treasure is the search itself.
The journey of discovery.
Willingness to embrace the unknown.